Video number 94 from MythoReligio series, Book 4. Ancient Sky Gazers, Travelers, or Aliens? Part 3. In Africa, Australia, MesoAmerica, and Europe. Dear fellow truth seekers, in my last video, I have shared information from various artifacts around the world that seem to prove that our so-called primitive ancestors had much higher astronomical knowledge than currently told by historians. In this video, I'm sharing further information about more artifacts from around the world that seem to prove that our ancestors might even have the ability to navigate the skies using flying machines and/or aliens had visited our planet in the distant past. Let's have a look at these artifacts in various locations in the world. In Australia, Algeria, and Italy. Is the idea of ancient astronauts really impossible to be true? Our Earth is filled with enigmatic ancient images. The artists must have made them to express what they had seen and to share what they have experienced or witnessed. Let's see what you figure out by looking at these pictures. These pictures are already thousands of years old, made by primitive cave artists. There are many cave drawings like these pictures, found scattered in many places all over the world, made by ancient artists. These particular drawings were found in Kimberley, Australia, dated at circa 3000 BCE, in the Sahara Desert dated at circa 6000 BCE, and in Val Camonica, Italy, dated at circa 10,000 BCE. We can clearly see the similarity between these drawings. Von Däniken wrote that they are picturing some kind of humanoid figures that look as if they are floating in weightlessness. It is as if the artist had been able to witness one of our modern spacemen walk. Compare the image of the Tassili Roundhead found in the Tassili Mountains in the Saharan Desert of Algeria that is dated at circa 6000 BCE with a picture of our modern-day astronaut. Anthropologists have suggested that the Tassili Roundheads are merely ceremonial dancers or priests wearing empty gourds over their heads. The problem with this rational approach is that the agricultural know-how and resources to grow gourds or pumpkins were non-existent in North Africa at the time the Tassili drawings were created, and would probably not have been available for another several thousand years. The artists were many miles apart, and yet the drawings are so similar. If they were just creating images out of their imagination, how can they be so identical? They must have witnessed the same object. But what object is that? No such object seems to fit with their ancient world that we assume to be. In Kiev, Europe. The following is a strange suited figure found in Kiev, Ukraine. It dates to circa 4000 BCE. It really looks like an astronaut. What do you think? In MesoAmerica. This is the lid of the sarcophagus of King Pakal, a Mesoamerican Mayan king who was born in 603 CE. The sarcophagus lid measures 3.6 times 2 meters or 12 times 7 feet and shows a man tilting backwards at the base of a tree, with a bird high at the top, either falling into or springing out of what appears to be a large urn. Glyphs and symbols run around the edges of the lid, all representing important components of Mayan cosmology. Pakal's sarcophagus is what he is best known for in the modern day as ancient alien theorist, following Erich von Däniken's interpretation in his book Chariots of the Gods, claimed the lid depicts a man riding on a rocket ship, smoke issuing from an exhaust pipe behind him, and the glyphs representing outer space. Conventional historians say that the relief shows the world tree, which the Maya believed had its roots in the underworld or Xibalba, trunk on the earthly plane, and branches high in paradise, and Pakal's relationship to it in death. The king is depicted either at the moment of his death, falling from the earthly plane down into Xibalba, or at the moment of his resurrection from the underworld, climbing up the world tree toward paradise. The adornments along the edges represent the sky and other glyphs of the sun and moon, and still others, past rulers of Palenque and Pakal's place among them. The bird at the top of the tree is the bird of heaven, also known as the celestial bird or principal bird deity, who represents the realm of the gods in this piece, and the urn beneath Pakal is the entrance to Xibalba. This comparative image is shown in the TV program Ancient Aliens, comparing the image of the king entering a spaceship. What do you think? Another thing that I found really curious is the temple where the sarcophagus was found, i.e. the Temple of Inscription. As I've shared in my earlier video, this temple is the one that looks exactly like a temple that is found in another island, and even in another continent, i.e. the Suku Temple in Java Island, Indonesia. How did this happen? Furthermore, the sarcophagus is not the only relief that suspiciously looks like it's depicting an astronaut, king or not. Here's an ancient stone figure also found at the Mayan ruins in Tikal, Guatemala, that also looks similar to a modern-day astronaut in a space helmet. And another one, an elaborate double-whistle earthware from Mexico during the Remojadas culture, Veracruz from the late Classic period, 6th century CE. And another one found at the Mayan ruins in Tikal, Guatemala. This surely resembles a modern-day astronaut in a space helmet. What do you think? These are golden sculptures from pre-Columbian era. It is difficult to determine their exact age as gold is hard to date. It is believed that they date from around 500 to 800 CE. They have been found in central and also coastal regions of South America. When first found, they were thought to be zoomorphic objects representing animals. They look like birds or airplanes. They sure look like they have the wings of a plane and a tailplane of a modern-day fighter aircraft. What do you think? In Egypt, North Africa. Source: the Saqqara bird by Doug Amos and Wikipedia. There is another strange bird or airplane object found in Egypt called the Saqqara bird. It is a small wooden figurine that was excavated in 1898 from a tomb in Saqqara, Egypt. It is estimated to be about 2,200 years old and is shaped somewhat like what we'd recognize as a modern-day airplane with the head of a bird. It is a controversial piece because it's prompted some people to speculate that the ancient Egyptians may have understood the processes of aerodynamics and that the Saqqara bird may have been a scale model of an actual working aircraft or glider of some type. Mainstream researchers chalk the artifact up to nothing more than a carving of an actual bird that takes on some of the characteristics of a glider by coincidence. A child's toy, a boomerang, or an early weather vane. However, Dr. Khalil Messiha published a paper in 1991 called African Experimental Aeronautics, a 2,000-year-old model glider, wherein he detailed the following. The wing is made of one piece of wood, and its span is exactly 18 centimeters, circa 7 inches. The part of the body is the thickest, 8 millimeters, circa 0.3 inch. Then it tapers in thickness towards the tips. One can note also that there is a dihedral angle which is slightly unequal on both sides due to slight distortion of the wood caused by the passage of time. The dihedral angle in this case refers to the same principle used in modern-day aircraft to achieve lift. The supposed missing tailplane has been somewhat of a point of contention, as it can't be certain that the Saqqara bird did indeed have a tailplane at one time. Without a tailplane though, it lacked the aerodynamic stability needed to fly correctly. To prove that the Sakara bird was capable of flight, Masiha wrote, "I've already made a similar balsa wood model and added the tailplane, which I suppose was lost, and was not astonished to find that it could sail in the air for a few yards when thrown by hand." However, in 2002, glider designer Martin Gregory built a similar model out of balsa wood and noted that the Sakara bird is totally unstable without a tailplane. And even after a tailplane was fitted, the glide performance was disappointing. Gregory finishes with, "In my opinion, the Sakara bird was probably made as a child's toy or a weather vane. As such, it is an interesting artifact and is certainly not an example of pharaonic high-tech or ancient lost knowledge." But wait, there's more. The History Channel did a piece on the Sakara bird, taping aerodynamics expert Simon Sanderson to build a replica of the artifact. Sanderson tested the replica in a wind tunnel without a tailplane. It was held in place by cables for stability and found that it produced 4 times the glider's own weight in lift. He then took the model and the corresponding wind tunnel data to Liverpool University and subjected it to a flight simulator meant to replicate the same trials as a modern fighter jet. A stabilizing tailplane was added to Sanderson's model, and when flown in conditions meant to mimic the air, streams, and conditions in Egypt, the Sakara bird actually flew quite well. Over 2,000 years after the ancient Egyptians carved this mysterious bird, modern technology has proved beyond doubt that it could have flown, according to the History Channel piece. So, what do you think? Dear fellow truth seekers, in this video I'm not going to share my personal theory yet. However, based on everything I've shared in this channel alone, I can confidently state that the chronology of humanity's prehistory is incorrect. Also, as time goes by, older and older findings keep on coming up to the surface. Therefore, it is safe to say that I think our prehistory is much, much older than what is told by conventional historians. I will share my personal theory when it is time to do so, after sharing all the information needed to draw a conclusion. At the meantime, allow me to thank you for watching and hope to see you in my next video.